like 25% of their guests are white and they've never been to an Indian wedding before and don't know what to expect. And then maybe it is a Chinese, Vietnamese tea ceremony. And you need to know, like, those are different.
Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. We made it through half of 2020, so I feel like we should all give ourselves pats on the back, little parties. Um, so another reason to party is because we have Denise Lillie tonight, who is amazing. Super excited for you guys to hear from her. First of all, she makes me laugh, which you all know that I do like to laugh. And I might have to hold this on as I laugh, but so she makes me laugh, and she seriously, like, she tells it straight, which you all know that I like that as well. And she is going to chat with us about understanding the luxury market within cultural weddings, which I think is something that a lot of people don't necessarily fully understand or don't see it a lot. They don't know how to get into it. It just seems kind of like this very confusing. Oh, there we go. How are
Yay.
you?
I'm a little shiny in the face, huh?
I'm extra shiny. It's like cloudy here today, but it's like extra. It's fine.
I've been working.
It's all good.
On my website. Hi. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
Are you
hanging the times?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I just have to tell you, you make me laugh. So like on every webinar that I was watching you on, like I was like, yes, like everything that you were saying, I was like, loved it. Absolutely loved it. So that's first. So for people who don't know, you started out doing planning, right?
No, well, you mean in my life or like?
Well, in the wedding industry. So
yes. So I actually, I have a background in, sorry, this little drop down thing. I don't know how to, I'm not technical. I think I'm the one who puts Mercury in retrograde. I think it's my fault. But I actually, I mean, I don't know. There's just things that I think of. So I actually grew up in Michigan, Detroit area. So I am a transplant, happy to be in California. I will never leave. And I studied political science and philosophy in college, Michigan State. And I started my career out in campaign work and fundraising for elected officials. And I ended up working for United States Senator for 7 years. And I did community organizing and advocacy. So yay, that came full circle.
Yeah.
I know, right? And really my job was to reach out to nonprofit community and to build relationships with the nonprofits and Senator Carl Levin and the Detroit area, and really just speaking up for them and advocating for funding and for a voice. So all of the things that are the webinars that you've seen me on, it's just so funny how now I get to do that with the wedding industry. So it's kind of a double blessing. But yeah, I loved my job and helping people. And I actually worked through the mortgage and foreclosure crisis. So I'm a young 24-year-old kid. They're like, do you know what a mortgage is? And I was like, I don't know. Well, you're going to do them now. Help the people. And I'm like, okay. So then I'm like helping to write legislation and, help people save their homes. So I wanted something creative and fun. So I was like, Say Yes the Dress just came out. It was back in 2004. And there's all these like whose wedding is it anyway? I always remember that, like, the favorite shade of peach. Like that was like the intro. And so I was living at home with my parents and I was like, okay, because the government, they take care of your student loans. They don't pay very well, which is fine because guys pay taxes. So long story short, I was like, what's creative? I was watching these shows and I realized I was doing these fundraisers and this organizing, and these are just events without the pressure of asking for money. So this is before Pinterest. Guys, right. There was a time that there was not a Pinterest. This is even before, kind of like before Facebook almost even. Yeah. It was Friendster or something like that. I don't know. I'm so old. So I went on the internet. It was definitely, what's that thing called with it? Craigslist before that, and just searched wedding planner. It's intern, wedding planner helper. And I just found some lady, Sassy Black Lady is actually the name of her business, was like Diva Sassy, something like that. I don't remember. And I just worked for her for free on the weekends. And then because I needed to pay like my phone bill, even though I live with my parents, thanks Mary and Calvin, who are probably watching. I little jam. I got a part-time job at David's Bridal. I figured like I kind of like this wedding stuff, but like, am I really gonna like it? You know, let me tell you, like if you want to get into wedding planning or wedding anything, being a receptionist at David's Bridal and then helping people find their, like, that's kamikaze one after the other from all walks of life. And you got to like size them up in 30 seconds and then figure out what dress they want. And then they're, you know, and then they're gone in an hour. So that was my gateway. My gateway drug was David's Bridal.
I love it.
But then I started doing planning and I just, it's everything. So yeah.
That's cool. And so now, had you had a lot of experience in like cultural weddings? I know that you do like a lot of Indian weddings and Southeast Asian weddings.
Oh, I was thrown to the wolves by some very amazing, sweet people. Bless their hearts. Not even the Southern way. Like they were like, you know, I was like, have you ever done an Indian wedding before? Sorry, my chair. And I was like, no. And they're like, well, we're just going to try you out. And I was like, cool. That's great. And I just moved to California and I quit my job, the senator's office, to move to California. And so I was working at a bridal salon again. I love that dress stuff. And I was like, okay, how bad could it be? I will never forget one of my friends helped me, and we are not friends anymore. I blame the Indian wedding. I'm confident. Like, you know, the couple is beautiful and gorgeous, and they were such a sweet, you know, I'm reaching out to all my couples to like kind of check in and do a little video with them, and I can't wait to reach out to them. But they were like, yeah, you know, we'll give you this money. Not going to say what it was, but it wasn't a lot for 4 days, an event every day, minimum 6 hours. The last day was like 15 hours, and it was a lot. And it's funny because I could barely walk for 3 days. You're just not prepared for all these things that you, a garba. Oh, what's a garba? We're doing it now. Cool. Let's just get sticks together and do these things. And the joy that I think I found in doing my first Indian wedding, and for that, it was actually a fusion wedding. So we say India, right? And that's like a lot. It's billions of people. So I would say like there's also fusion, different cultures and religions and ethnicities within India. And I think that's one of the biggest, you know what I mean, right? Just like saying Asian. It's Asian. Really though? Are you Korean or Filipino or Vietnamese?
So I'm a mutt. I'm a mutt.
Fusion. You're melanin. You're melanin.
I am fusion. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm technically 70. I think. Wait. No. Hold on. Technically 75% Korean and 25% they don't know, but they think it might be Caucasian. But
girl, you got a tea ceremony up in there. I can just feel it.
It's like no. So I'm the doctor. So on top of all of that, I'm actually, you know, like white Midwestern.
Growing up and that's what my clients are like. Their family may be from somewhere, but like this couple, I think she was North Indian, he was South Indian, and they're both Hindu. But even that, it's just differences. Totally. And I just had to learn by asking a lot of questions. And it's nice because with a couple getting married, like you said, you grew up here. You like a lot of the couples don't know the traditions that their parents want them to do, and for a while, for the first 4 or 5 years, no, that's a long time. The first 2 years, I was learning, right? I can't do math. I'm a creative. I don't do math. I don't spell. My clients know, like, I can't do it all. It's okay. But I had to ask questions because they don't know, and I'm learning with them. Right. And that's kind of the cool thing. Like, okay, well, let's ask your parents. And now it's me trying to hold my tongue because a lot of times I know more than the couple. You know, I've been to India. Sometimes they've never been to India. They don't know why we do the Mongol Sutra or what the 7 steps are. And there's a lot of nuances through, and they're beautiful. They're all beautiful. So I get very excited. So I just go on and on and on about cultural weddings, but there's just so much to know and learn, and you're always learning more.
Yeah, no, I think that's so cool. And so now how did all of that kind of lead you into starting?
Oh, sorry, there's one of my brides. Hi, Shika. Okay.
Oh!
Sorry. Okay, how did that, what? I don't know. Oh, once you do one, you got to market that one, right? So like that wedding was so beautiful. This is when I was first starting out in California. I didn't have anything else but that wedding to put on my website. And it got published. And that was the Big Fat Indian Wedding. And I was like, I don't know what published is, but here's a wedding. Like, I don't know. And it was a big deal for me because they were like, that's on the internet. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So just the fact that I had done one, I think it might have made other couples and other families, it was a family affair, a little bit more comfortable with me. Because I'm brown, you know, but I'm not that kind of brown. So I think, okay, listen, you're not gonna let me talk the whole time. You can't. Like, you're funny. I've watched you too. You're funny too. You're so okay. I'm gonna tell you about this. Is gonna help our conversation. I have this thing that it's called the. You have to promise. I'm trademarking it, so don't. You can't have it. It's called the melanin scale. So Shika knows what I'm talking about. Like, it's basically a nice way of talking about race and ethnicity without being so like, I don't know. Everyone's like, he's white, or you don't know, like, what is that? Right. So I was like, there's got to be a better way to talk about this. All the clients I have are from different places. So I'm sitting down with one of my couples, we're at a tasting, and I'm talking about like, she's brown and he's white, and they're talking about he's pale and his pale people come to the wedding. They're going to be on time. The white people are going to be there at 30 minutes before. The brown people are going to be there at 45 minutes after. It's going to be a cluster. And I'm like, can I swear on this or no? No swearing. It's part of my brand. Okay, I just swear. I get excited and I don't want to offend anybody. I don't swear at weddings, but or drink or anything like that. So I was like, it's like a scale. I was like, you have more melanin than him. And so he's like, the groom, Michael, he's like, here in the melanin scale. And I had a Nigerian wedding, and I was like, the Nigerian would be way over here on the melanin scale. I would probably be kind of in the middle. Indian, you kind of be here. Like, and so I kind of started using that to communicate to couples. And they would laugh, and I think feel a little bit more comfortable. Like maybe 25% of their guests are white, and they've never been to an Indian wedding before and don't know what to expect. And then maybe it is a Chinese, Vietnamese tea ceremony. And you need to know, like, those are different, right? Yeah. And maybe you got to do 2 tea ceremonies, and one wants to do it this way, and a little bit of or Filipino. That's a little bit of a different melanin, vibe, or Persian. Maybe we did a wedding with, the bride was Indian and the groom was the groom was Persian. And so, they've got different things. So it kind of helps me to talk to couples in a way that's a little bit more genuine. And you're just, and you're saying, oh, he's white. No, he's just melanin deficient. And we love, but it's funny because that couple is so adorable. Their anniversary was like a few days ago, and they're hella woke. He's like a principal at a charter school, and he advocates for kids, and it's just so amazing. And so we say that he's melanin adjacent. Ooh, because he's down, right? He's around people. So okay, but listen, I got my excitement out. So now you have to ask your questions, because I can't.
Oh my goodness, I like that. So first of all, you need to totally trademark your melanin scale, because I think that's awesome.
It's everything.
And, we could even you could make an app for and you could be see,
because listen, the melanin scale goes deep, no pun intended. We use that to, I know you're laughing at my jokes. I feel so special right now.
I love your jokes are awesome.
It's just I don't think they're ever going to be funny. I would never do stand up, because I would just have the anxiety of is anyone laughing? Was that even funny?
Okay, well,
and I'll literally be
I'll be there, and I will be front row, and I will be dying. Seriously.
Literally, I'll be like, was that funny? You didn't get it? And then people will be like, yeah, we got it. But yeah, I an app. It was so smart. No, we did use the melanin scale for the wedding we did in Tahoe. We did a scale of like, we had like an ice kind of snowflakey thing at one end, and then we had a fire at the other. Because the bride, we called it Shaw's Like It Hot because her last name was Shaw, and then the groom's last name is Wright. So if you guys have ever had Indian food, like, or I like prefer to call it Indian cuisine, delicious. Well, not all Indian food is Indian cuisine. There's some that's better than others, just like anything else. But raita is like a creamy, yogurty, and usually I slap it on the things that's too spicy. So at the end, we had the scale was to put in front of the buffet food so that the lightly melanated, deficient people or people who just don't like spicy food would like know it was okay to eat, or like they would be intimidated. It was so fun to watch. Like I almost like had my phone out, but I didn't want to be rude because it was like they would read it like, oh, because at the end of like the icy one, it said, "This is all raita," meaning it was not as hot. And then Shaw's Like It Hot. So wherever the food. But
yes. That is
I'm gonna steal your idea.
I love it. I love that. Seriously. How fun. Okay, first of all, I have to come to like all your weddings and I'm just gonna eat the food. It's gonna be like
okay, this is something very non-Western. And it just, it's one of those things that I learned with cultural weddings. And when I say cultural fusion weddings, I generally mean lightly melanated, homogeneous Western weddings. And you could be Black and have like a Western wedding, right? It's just like 30 minutes, you're in, you're out, you have a good time, boom, boom, boom. These weddings I'm talking about are Persian, Vietnamese, Filipino, Korean, Japanese, Nigerian, Ethiopian. I mean, it just goes on and on of these different cultures. And the majority thing that kind of ties them together is the guest is God. Like the guest is to be taken care of. And that includes the wedding professionals.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm a Black girl. You're not going to make me eat in a kitchen anyway. It's just not going to happen. Like I had to cater, like the vendors eat in the kitchen. I was like, oh, that's nice. I'm not a vendor, nor am I going to eat in the kitchen. I'm a wedding professional. And we have in my contract that all of the vendors, wedding professionals, will be eating at a table in the room, the same food that everybody else is eating. Oh, we don't do that. We've never done that. We don't know how to do that. So I'm like, you don't know how to feed people? Because I kind of feel like there's going to be some money that's going to come with it. So it's going to be pretty easy, I feel like. And that wasn't more so, I mean, right? Like, what would you want to eat in the kitchen?
Humans. You're feeding other humans. We eat the same way. Not
for those who may not know or understand, which is perfectly, we're all in this listening, learning, loving, which is really amazing. In Jim Crow time, and still now, Black people were not allowed to come in through the front door. We had to come, no matter, we're talking about Dorothy Dandridge and like people who are famous and singers and performers and all kinds of talents were not allowed to come in the front door. They had to come in through the service entrance in the back, eat in the kitchen. So yeah, I'm not gonna, it's a deal breaker. But more so important outside of me, the family. I had to look, I've forgotten since we've been off weddings a little bit, but I used to know how to say I've eaten already in like 5 different languages. No, TK, I'm good. I've already eaten, because the parents would be like, Denise, did you eat? Did you taste the food? Because we have 10 courses of this Vietnamese food and we want you to eat it. And you're just like, they're watching you, expecting you because you're their guest, Yeah. So it's one of those things that's just non-Western, but I kind of look at it as a planner to help bridge that gap between other wedding professionals or venues who may not know. And I don't really look negatively, but it's just educating them. Like, look, this is a big deal. If you don't let us eat, or if you can't have the fire for the Hindu wedding, or you can't let them bring in the caterer they want, that's a big deal.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Like, I love that because, again, sometimes it's just about being a good advocate, and not just an ally, but really being an advocate, because it's like,
whether or not everyone has the right verbiage or understanding of how to approach something. And again, it's just about being, it's about being like being human, like
Right.
understanding what, like there are people who might have other needs, other perspectives that you need to
Mhm.
consider, and that's not a bad thing. Like
Right.
it doesn't make
100%.
them bad and it doesn't make you bad. It's just a matter of like, okay, we have to get on the same page.
Hmm.
It's like there's no hard feelings. It just shouldn't be hard feelings about it. It's like, let's
Well,
work
it's
together.
part of the planning process, right? That's why we
Totally.
plan, to make sure
Yeah.
everyone's comfortable and happy and it's the best event. And honestly, like, would you want, my clients are all super, 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 super detail oriented and type A. Somebody's type A in that couple. It's I have a gender, these terms I have to, don't record. This is recorded. Right. So, uh,
Like, and don't record. Oh, it's already recorded. Okay.
okay.
It's okay.
So we got the melanin scale. We talked about that. The other terms that I use, they're not heteronormative. They're gender neutral. It's Zilla and Chilla. Now, a groom can be a groomzilla. We have a lot of those nowadays. You could have a groom that's a Chilla and a groom that's a Zilla, and they're together, right? The Zilla is me. I'm go, 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 1,000 emails, ask a million questions, da, 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 da. And the Chilla is just like, it's cool.
And I'm gonna, yeah, like, okay.
It's gonna work out no matter. And so I try to, like, when I meet a couple for the first time, try to assess like who is who. It's really usually the Zilla is the one who calls me. Sometimes I don't even ever meet the Chilla because they're just like, it's good, I love you, babe, whatever you want. So yeah, so I feel like, that's another way to kind of like suss out where to direct your energy. But yeah, don't take that term either.
I love, so okay, so first of all, you need to create an app for the melanin scale.
Love
And
it.
I also think that you need to trademark Zilla and Chilla because that's like on point. Love that. And
then like the app, oh my God, in the same app, right? I guess you could do like a survey to see which one you are. Or you could see like, are you trending? Like, what are you doing right now? Like, okay, maybe we're planning for 2 years. We had a beautiful Tahoe wedding and it ended up being, 2 years away. And you ebb and flow with planning, right? Like you vibe. So it could be like, you could take a quiz on this app. Oh, I love your app idea. We could go in on it together.
Hey, I will promote that to that. Like, when Tara goes on, I was like, "Oh, you need an app." It was like call your black friend or something. Like, I'm like, you need an app for that because
did you see there was it was Black Alexa. Have you seen that? Oh my God, so funny. You just Google Black Alexa, and I was like, Alexa, is this racist? Yes. Do not say that in front of you. It was so funny. Like.
Okay, I'm gonna Google that after. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, sometimes again, everyone here, like, we're all human beings, and so doesn't matter what. Terica, you just joined. We were just shouting you out here. We were saying how your special app of
Call your black friend.
Call your black friend.
Love it. Never gonna forget that.
So you're gonna have that app. And then Denise is going to have an app for the melon scale. It's going to have a quiz. I love that. Do it. You have
and the quiz will be like, the party starts at 4. What time shall you arrive? And if you say 3:55, yes. And so like negative, 10% melanin or something like that.
Yeah.
And if you say 4:45, you're like, got it. And we know who you are. It's fine. It's good to know because it's a tool for planning, right? Like, in all honesty, it's just cultural. Like in India, like traditionally, no matter if you're North Indian, South Indian, traditionally you would go to, it'd be depending on, of course, the makeup of the couple, if it's bride and groom, but if it's bride and groom, traditionally the bride's family would be where the bride's family home is where the wedding would take place. And so that's where that parade you see for Indian, they're processing to impress, well, I say impress, but that's there's other reasons, from the groom's home, and they process to the bride's home to be received in order to marry her. So it's very traditional. And I mean, do you really need to leave early if you're just going to be at home? Like, so can you, so it's just, and it's just something that like, this is what happens in America. This is what happens in other places. And you take those traditions with you. So we all joke about it. Like Eterica's on here. If you were using call your black friend, what does CPT mean? We don't say it anymore. Don't say this, guys, but color people time. And if you're, there's Filipino time, there's Eastern Standard Time, there's this time. We all have our own from our culture, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that. And I think that's so important because again, it's a I mean, obviously weddings are celebrations, but celebrating just the cultural heritage, and it doesn't have to be, it can be traditional, but just understanding that being able to fuse that with who you are to celebrate the love that you have with a person who also has a heritage, whether they're like 5,000,000% in the tradition or not, they might be in the, I don't prescribe to any of that. And
right. And that's true. Like, I think that's also something that gets a little bit overlooked with cultural infusion weddings, where our identity. I think the beautiful thing about how our world's evolving, I know people are saying they're protesting, looting, and civil war. I like to call it evolving, right? And it's getting more beautiful as far as knowing and loving about each other. And I would say that these differences, not everybody should feel they have to identify as something, right? Yeah. And some people might be mixed and not identify with some things or others. And I think that's your choice of what you identify with, and then your choice of what you want to share, And the beautiful thing about working on weddings that are like that, where, when we did the Persian Indian wedding, I mean, we shut down the street in San Francisco. The groom rode a horse up to the hotel, and then got off, and we had a Persian soufre, where there's all these types of elements that mean something on. But gosh darn it, I really should have thought of it. So we called it a monfray. I helped the bride design it. And so it was a mandap, which is an Indian, the 4-post structure that has all these special elements on it that the priest will use to do different things. And a soufre is very similar. It's usually a platform with all, so we made it together. And so we called it a monfray or sofra.
I love that. That is so cool. And that's those are the things that seriously, I personally, and again, I think it's awesome how everyone is becoming more woken.
I love it.
That's great. Yay. Good for you. However, I also find it funny because it's now all of a sudden it's cool. Whereas before, it's when we started, it wasn't necessarily a cool thing. People are yeah, so not sure where you're going to get that published, or okay, that doesn't fit in one of our 2 categories,
right?
And
I think that I think as a small business owner, you really have to decide. It's do or die. It is cutthroat. And California is there's great wedding planning, and a lot of my best friends are wedding planners. A great wedding community. There's that community over competition, like Terica really has been leading the charge with unity through community. It's real here. However, you have to be strong and work hard to stay in business and to be out there as someone who's known that can do a great job. It's a lot of work and effort. And I would say that, you have to decide how much energy you're going to put into things and where it's going to go. Yeah. And for me, having that social justice background, as so said by the Not Wedding Pro in their thing with the social justice, which was very nice. It really kind of made me proud because I do have this social justice. I didn't even know what to call it. I was like, I'll take it. I'll take all the good things. Listen, if somebody wants to say that I'm great at something, I'll be on all the lists. That's fine. Because you know what I mean? I know what I can do, and I know I am great. And would I like to be on a list of great instead of black great? I'll take both because I'm both, and that's fine. I mean, I don't know where the lie is on that one, but you're making me laugh. Stop it. You're really egging me on. I don't even remember the question. Okay, so we're talking about you got to be strong. You got to be strong. You can't back down. But I think where I was going with that is that you just have to own what you're going to do. And I decided to own, when I started doing I did my first Indian wedding, it kind of like they begot each other. Like, oh, you do Indian weddings. And I'm like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. My very first wedding ever was a lesbian wedding before it was legalized. I mean, you should just get married even if it's not legalized yet, but it wasn't legalized back then in Michigan. And my mentor, who I will never talk to again, but she was like, she called me one day and she's like, hey, do you do gay weddings? And I was like, I mean, is it a wedding? I don't understand. And she's like, well, I spiritually can't do it. And I was like, I mean, is the money green? I was very confused. And at the time we were called D Royal Engagements was my business name. It's since evolved. But I said, well, I just snapped into it. Well, at D Royal Engagements, we like to help all couples down the aisle. So she gave me the couple's number. I'm actually have a call with them next week. And I said, hi, my name is Denise, and I hear you need a wedding planner. I'm happy to help you. And the bride just started crying. Aww. She's like, no one will accept us. We're afraid to ask anybody. You know, they're black lesbian couple, the sweetest, Jackie and Nakia Key. And, you know, for me, it was like, well, of course I do weddings. Right. Yeah. Black, brown, anything, whatever gender, non-gender prescribed, like I just do weddings. And so, yeah, when I came out, started doing weddings, there wasn't a lot of, we had to find inspiration for design and to like, make sure we weren't, you know, coming up with the terms to use. It was all very fresh in the mainstream and not there. Yeah. And same thing with Black weddings. This is before, the amazing Geek Collective and Eliana and Minucci and all of them. This is well before that, where in Michigan, in Detroit area, like you didn't have a lot of inspiration. Like we couldn't open a magazine and see a lesbian Black couple to see like what inspired them and get inspired. So when I moved to California, I kind of sought out, you know, for myself, like how can learning about styled shoots and all the new thing. I was like, well, I'll just make it up. I'll do it. And I made a commitment that if you look at all of my style shoots, especially the ones I've gotten published, are people of color, you know, different religions. Because we did the Black Panther. That was like the movie. It was hella Black. Like it was black, awesome. Black, and black, you know, like it was.
I love that.
And that wasn't to say that lightly melanated people aren't beautiful. You should never say this. Black Alexa would tell you not to say it, but some of my best friends are white. Like they really, really are. And it's just, you know, but you don't see it in the magazine. So I was like, at least I could do for my website, and I'm going to submit. And we got on Pop Sugar for that and things like that. But there were publications that turned away, you know, and I won't name them, but there are publications that turned away the Black Panther photo shoot. You know, and I had to, being a Black woman, a wedding planner, and being in the industry and knowing what it's like, I didn't call them out on it, but I was just like, okay, that's interesting. Thank you. Like, but it was good enough for Pop Sugar. But cool. It's great. Oscar award winning. We used the Pantone color of the year, but cool. Gotcha.
Yeah. And I think that's what's really interesting again, I think it's awesome how everyone is being more woke and they're trying to change and they're doing all these things, and that's fantastic. But I will say this, it's something that you can't come out now and post your black box and say like, oh, all lives matter, but Black lives especially. And do you know what I mean? Like you can't do that. You can't like try to wrap it all in and be like, oh, but really I was supporting you the whole time. And of course I've always thought that.
There's a really great meme where like, here's Bob at the table and Bob is so hungry. Everybody around Bob has food at the table. So, you know, do you say all people are hungry? Because Bob still has no food on his plate. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's, when it first started happening, I was that call out queen. I will own that. I have my like tiara, like I was the call out queen. I was sliding people's DMs like, hey, such and such publication, are you gonna post any Black Lives Matter, Purple Heart? Like, just let me know. And
I love on all the webinars, I don't want to cut you off, but on all the webinars, you were like, listen, I called everyone out But what I really loved about that was the fact that you were like, I'm not calling you out to be like, oh, shame on you. You guys are horrible. You should not be in business. The whole point is like, hi, we believe that you can change. We believe you want to do better. And so that's why we're calling you out. Like there's a reason. It's not just like, oh, we just want to harp on someone or dish about that. Like it's not about that.
I am a small business owner at this moment in time. We are fighting for our lives during COVID. You know, I'm not shy to say that I have stage 4 cancer. And now you want me to fight a civil uprising? I don't have time to call people out. Like, I'm doing it out of the love for my industry. And I'm really honestly doing it for my couples. My couples are the best. They are beautiful people who deserve to see themselves reflected everywhere. Like I said in one of the things that Terica so fabulously wrote down, I didn't remember saying it, that luxury is not white.
Yeah.
Meaning that, like, again, some of my best friends are white. Love them. Hey, Liz and Chapman Floor. Like, some of my best friends are the most woke people ever, posted more stuff than me, and just, they're just amazing people. But we're talking about fabulous, gorgeous, over-the-top weddings. That could be a Teddy Manuel from the Philippines. That could be a Precious from South Africa. That could be so many, or an Eddie Zara, like, you know, TikTok Flowers by Edgar. Here, he's, you know, he's Mexican. Like, those are the vendors behind the scenes. But then the couples, if you look across the world, some of the most lavish, decadent, over-the-top weddings are heavily melanated people and couples.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and then why would you want to leave that money on the table? Like, I don't understand. Like, hey, I'm a business, right? And so I feel like these publications were not doing it to be awful and rude. It's that, first of all, we care. We care about the industry. We care about our couples. But why don't you want to care about, you should not want to. It has been, like, we did that forum last week.
Yeah.
I am just overwhelmed still with the amount of people in publications, big publications, who just want to continue to get it right and do better by, you know, their shortcomings. You know, I'm a person who always wants to do better. I admire anybody who wants to recognize, hey, maybe we fell short by not putting a Black person on the cover ever. We're going to think about that now and do better and do it in their own genuine way.
Right.
So I'm super, super encouraged by what's going on. But the call out culture, I'm about that life. If Makeup Forever, which is my favorite makeup, if they wouldn't have come out with something, I would have been like, I don't know if I can buy your makeup. Like, I went on the website, like, Makeup Forever, mark safe from racism. Okay, good. Urban Decay, like, because I buy their stuff. They just came out with a purple palette for your eye. I don't have money, but because no weddings, but I bought the purple palette. But I didn't buy it before I went to check to see if they were, you know.
But that's just it. It's like it's understanding that calling people out, and so there are people who are all about the call out culture because they just like to harp on
negativity.
People.
Yeah,
fine. But in terms of like people, at least the people that I know who are really trying to hold people accountable, it's not about that. It's about elevating each other and helping each other understand. Like, you know, like I can't remember where it was. I was talking with someone about it, and we were saying how, like, it's like if you're learning a new language, right? I can't speak French. I can maybe count up to 3 if I
speak more than me. That's true.
But if I'm trying to learn a new language and I'm totally botching it up, right? And someone else who knows the language is going to correct me. They're not doing it to be like, you suck and you should stop and just die. They're not telling me that. They're saying, hey, guess what? I know better and I'm going to help you do better. And then once you know better, you do better. Like, that's what it's all about. But it's not about like, and you shouldn't be defensive of, like, why would I get defensive of that? I know that I can't speak French and you can't. So guess what?
Listen. Eliana had said on one of the panels that, you know, I'm not going to even look it up. But it doesn't even matter the number. But the wedding industry is a $70 to $80 billion industry with a
77.
Thank you. You can be thank you. Jack of all trades here, not a master. So master class, this one. It's $1 billion industry. And like, even people of color, if you add up those dollars, like, don't you want that billion, 7, 8, 10 billion of dollars in your advertising? Don't understand why you would leave that money on the table. But I think you're right. It's just about, maybe you didn't know. It wasn't something that maybe a lot of the people we did call out, or I've called out, they're not racist. It's in their deep heart. And I think that's why I reached out a lot. Like, because I was like, look, one of the photographers that I'm having a really hard time with, that he's a photographer that's on my preferred vendor list, but I'm just like, I'm worried about him saying the wrong thing to one of my couples.
Right.
And breaking their heart on their wedding day. Yeah. And a lot of people are saying, well, it's not political. Well, you're right. But murdering people is just not good. Murder wrong, love good, you know, and we are literally in the business of love. If anyone in the world should be accepting and embracing of people coming together and loving each other no matter what, it's us, right? Yeah. So it's a struggle. You know, I'm trying to be more patient and not so angry. I think I'm more hurt when I see one of for wedding professionals that I want to work with saying nothing. Yeah. Like, post a picture of like a ranch with a cow and then like say, well, I didn't have time, but Karen, you just posted that 3 minutes ago. And I just slid into your DMs 15 minutes ago. Like, you literally could screenshot Langston Hughes quote, throw that thing up there and go think, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's breaking my heart. But there is the line where I have to be professional, respectful, that people process things differently. Yeah. And when they say that they need time, I'm learning that I need to give that space, but I want them to know I'm here. Just like if I need to, you know, most people are better at websites than me. So you can teach me something. I can teach you something.
Absolutely. And like yesterday, Jordan was on from All the Days. And one of the things that we were saying is like, okay, my issue is not that, like, yes, maybe you need time and you have to process it. I get that. Totally take your time. But understand that if there is someone who's telling you, hey, you hurt me, or this hurts me, or this is not right, or I'm being oppressed, or I'm being hurt, even if you need time, it doesn't take time to say, I'm sorry.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to do. I'm going to learn. Can you help me? Whatever it is. Yeah.
Like, I care for you. Don't say, like, black best friend. Don't say my best friend's black. But say, you know, I care for you. We stand in solidarity. You know, let us know what you need. Yeah. I had someone that I met at a conference, and he was just like, hey, lots going on right now, but I care about you. It was great to meet you. Let me know what I can do. Easy.
Yes. Yes. You know? And I guess that's the thing is, like, I understand that as a large corporation, you don't want to say the wrong thing or align yourself on the wrong side and later find out that it's the wrong thing to align with. I get that. Yeah. But humanity is never wrong. Like, it's never wrong to be on the side of, like, people. Like,
let's just be human. Like really crass and honest. Like, Coca-Cola and Target were on point with that. And like, Target's not an idiot. They're a business. At the end of the day, their job is to make money. If people that shop at Target are literally not alive, but their lives don't matter, they cannot go and buy stuff from Target. Like, it's really that simple. Like, if you're a wedding photographer and you shoot brown people, like, that's literally the 90% of your business. If they're not cared about and encouraged and supported, you're not going to get hired, because they're not going to, like, it's a very basic concept. And I think you're right. And I think it has been more than a month. So if you still haven't said something, I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm just decided, if you haven't said something now, you have said enough to me, right? Yeah. Like, you say so much. I had to quote, like, your silence is deafening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think that's what's important for people to understand, is that no one said, like, again, like anything else in life, this is not so different. Like, literally anything else in life. You screw up, you might not have all the words or the entire plan ready. It doesn't take all of that. Like it doesn't take you a week to learn how to say I'm sorry, or to figure out sorry, or we all have to do better, or what I'm going to figure out what I need to do, or please tell us. I'm open.
And guess what? Let me tell you this. I, as fabulous as you allegedly think I am, which is so sweet.
You are. Please.
Listen.
Like your photos are like, hello, look at my beautiful Tika, and like.
Oh, I almost wore one today. I almost put one on, and I was like,
I love Tikas.
Yes. A little pro tip: eyelash glue.
Yes.
Put a little.
It's right here.
Yeah. Boom. Not gonna move.
Yeah, because pictures are not good when it's like here, when it's like swinging. It's not good. No.
I say that as I have a picture where it's like not good. It's, like, it's a really good picture, so I'm like, I'm just gonna let that ride. People have to get over it. But yeah, you're so right. But you know, I think you're right. I think that you know, you have to meet people where they are. And we did that. So I made that kind of like my personal private mission, like with styled shoots. When I have the opportunity to showcase my work. And I really appreciate, thank you for saying you love my design style. It's kind of bold and sassy and colorful. And thank you. But why not? If I've got to find models, I really try to use real couples or real people that kind of have a connection to what we're doing. But it's an opportunity for me. And I think there's so many opportunities, you know, the wedding industry specifically, my love and passion. It is about celebrating life. It literally is about celebrating lives. But we saw that deficiency as well, not just in the publication world, but I started to see that deficiency in the wedding pro world. You know, there's some fabulous, amazing trade organizations and conferences. Like I had the pleasure and honor to go to Engage in Dubai, and it was just, I mean, it just was everything. But before that, I was able to go to Eliana's The Bee Collective Awards, which was, again, I put Eliana's events right up there with Engage. They were, I mean,
I've seen photos. It's like ridiculous.
And the thing is that genuine, both of those events I went to the beginning of the year, and they were a long time, you know, to be more connected to what the collective was doing, because I really loved their mission, and then to save up to go to Engage that investment, because I knew that it was very genuine. You walk in that room and the people there like are embracing you. And I still have these connections after conferences. Like, what conferences do you invest that much in and go to? And then like after, they're still texting you and you're doing this and you're partnering. But there are some organizations that you don't see yourself there. Yeah. You know, I literally had to go back to my hotel room, and Eliana, and people don't know this who met me at the Bee Club, I cried because there were so many, and I'm getting emotional now. There was so much Black excellence in one room. I didn't know. I knew Diane Valentine, fabulous. I knew Preston Bailey. I knew of Eliana. I knew of just a few planners, but I didn't know that there was just 300, but so that do epic, luxury, over the top, lush, gorgeous designs and talent. And to have them all in the same place and to celebrate that, I'd never in my 40 years experienced that. And it made me cry because I would go to, you know, there's a conference I went to Wedding MBA for 8, I think it's 7, however many years since 2013 is. I always went. It's always been a great experience for me. But I rarely saw people that look like me up on that stage talking about the types of weddings that I do. Right. And when I did, they were fabulous. Tarek is amazing. There's Lecture Karma. I've been there for a little bit. Talk about Indian weddings. But I saw that kind of missing there. And then I started to see it missing in some of these trade organizations. Like, you know, and I knew that they're not racist. They're not anti. But when you go to an event and you don't see someone that looks like you on the panel, on the board as a speaker, I have not seen, and I probably just missed them because I'm tired and busy, but I need to be able to go to NACE and see an Indian caterer talking about Northern Indian food versus this, versus that, versus that. That's relevant to everybody who just caters events. People just eat Indian food or not Indian. Like, I want to be able to go to WIPA and learn about, you know, Nigerian weddings and, you know, and they're all I'm seeing all these things coming out in these strides. Destination Wedding Planning Congress, I'm very impressed with them and they're doing. And I just feel like, and that's the core of their mission, is these different international experiences and events. Again, why are you leaving money on the table? And I think people, like you said, are woke. I'm very, very, very excited. The people that I named, just the ones that we kind of all know, they care.
Yeah.
And they want it. So we started a group called Fusion Inclusion. We started it back in November. We did a kickoff party. I'm obsessed with purple. It's really no other color in the world. And there's just not. And it was called Purple Rain. I invested heavily in it. It was my 40th birthday, so I paid for the bar. I paid for a lot of things, not because I wanted to have the best party, but I realized all my friends were vendors, and I realized they were all cultural wedding professionals, and I realized that we needed this. We needed a place to network with each other, and uplift each other and know about each other. Because when I went to, I had a groom who the Manny and Cornell I mentioned earlier. They wanted to hire all brown or people of color wedding professionals because they wanted to invest in that community. And I had a really hard time. There's no list. We didn't have those lists of 150. We didn't have that back in November. How exciting that's different, right? And so I was like, you know what? If there's not something happening, I'm just going to create it. Like, how hard can it be to start a collective? And it was very easy. So now with everything going on in the world, we're it can't just be a party once a year. It's Fusion Inclusion has to be a platform that we use to educate each other. I have so much to learn. And others, to educate that venue who only has one Indian caterer on their list.
I love that. And I think that's so important because, again, it's about, if you're a venue and you have a list of recommended vendors, if you have a couple who's coming to you and that couple doesn't see a caterer that's going to be able to cater their, whether it's a specific cultural type of cuisine or if it's a religious
is big, yeah,
that they need to be able to adhere to,
or that they can't make the timing work before sundown, or that these things, right?
And again, it's all about that representation. It's like representation isn't just about the images that you put up. It's also about the vendors that you're promoting and how you're able to really support those types of couples and the weddings that they want to, the love that they want to celebrate and how they want to celebrate it. Because if you're only supporting
certain types, well, again, I'm just gonna say, look, money talks, right? And it walks away. So it's like, if you listen, that purple palette from Urban Decay was not cheap, and I already have like 4 palettes.
All right. Well, okay. First of all, anytime you need makeup, you just let me know and I will get you makeup.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So
okay, let's talk.
5 years ago, I started MG Hair Makeup. So we do everything. So we have like connections.
Where are you again? You're not
in New York.
Okay.
So you need makeup, you just hit me up. You're like, listen, this is what I need.
I actually don't need makeup. I have too much. It's my only hobby, but I will not turn away. And it's like a makeup artist is another one, right? Like, you can't, I bet you would know this. Like, you don't just know how to do one complexion.
No. Yeah. You have to
know how to do, the eyes, the eyelids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to have a vendor who's like, do you know somebody? My hood in my eyes. I was like, yes, girl, I know. You want the pop-in. I got somebody. You know what I mean? You have to be ready to service all clients, textures of hair.
Yes.
And otherwise, it's not racist in my book. It's not being a good business model, because those people who come to you say, well, I don't know, I don't have any, I've never done black hair. Then I have to hire someone who can take good care of me. Right. So if you have vendors, or what I'm just trying to say, vendor is like when you go to like a trade show, there's tables. I'm trying to like say wedding professionals because they're professionals, but I'm saying, like, let's say you are the venue that only has the one Indian. I do 90% Indian weddings with some other mix to it. So I keep saying Indian. And I'm also hungry, so Indian food. So I would say it's so good. And we talked about the scale. All right, like, I'm so hungry, but yum. So I would say that, like, I've actually had this organic experience where, like, I'm working on a wedding. The couple decided to get married there before they hired me, and the venue has not. This is the first time they're allowing outside catering, which outside catering means that maybe it's a Hyatt or something and they can provide their own food, but you can pick a caterer that caters to your family's heritage menus. Like just Indian food's not just Indian food. There's North, there's South, there's Jain, certain food, things like that, just with other cultures. And so if you are doing it for the first time, I think this was the venue. Me and the venue are having that conversation and we're educating each other. Like, this is what the venue has to do. And I'm like, okay, well, where can we meet in the middle? Because your client's going to feel more respected and appreciated if you make sure and go the extra mile of not having any potatoes or garlic or any of the things that Jane, it's a philosophy of nonviolence, because you're harming something that's still alive. If you overlook that and just throw some potatoes in there, like, why would you want to hurt our client? It's our client. So I think there's always opportunity for us to learn from each other. And I think the most important thing for the people who are waking up, they didn't wake up like this. They're waking up.
Just because you woke up like that doesn't mean
I woke up like, listen, Black Lives Matter for me is going to be the rest of my life. So there's plenty of time. So the day I die, I'm going to be Black. So as far as I'm concerned, people can have grace. There's plenty of time for them to embrace me and others who don't look like them. Vice versa, Black people, we need to embrace others too. We need to not be quick to anger. And I was very angry when things first started, I'm working on that. But again, why are you leaving money on the table? Why are you offending people who are giving you like a venue $50,000 just to walk in the door and you don't care? Or you do care, but it's the appearance of impropriety, right? Yeah. So, yeah. Ask me a question though. I just ramble.
I love
like weddings. I can just
they're gonna kick us off. It's fine. But I love your rambles, first of all, because you're hilarious, and it's like an entire like cheek workout. Like I literally
like, I have to be careful not because I hide my eyes if I laugh too hard. So I have to like
yeah. Anyways, it's like I did not laugh too much, but
Can I ask you a question then?
Yeah.
Okay, so especially with this platform you have, and some of the other things you do, what has your experience been with I know COVID has been a collective trauma, but this is a collective trauma too. Like, what has your experience been with the Black Lives Matter movement being, it's been around for years, but being more in the forefront now?
Well, first, I could not be more happy that it is more at the forefront because, so like I said, and we have 3 minutes, so I'm just counting it down because they're going to catch you. But I was adopted when I was 3 months old. So, and I was adopted into a white family in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. So I experienced a lot of racism. I mean, like
me too, girl. I was in Michigan. Yes.
Kids would, like they would chase me home throwing rocks at me. They would tell me to go back to my country. That I'm not.
What country? And they're like, you're a nigger. I'm like, what's a nigger? I'm fine.
Yeah. Like there's so much that it's like, I get that part of feeling like, number one, you don't belong, and people actively, aggressively telling you that you don't belong and not seeing yourself represented anywhere. Mm-hmm. like anywhere that you really don't feel like that. And my son is Black, so it's like he has experienced a fair share of racism for his 17 years of life. Very short, but and those are things that it tears my heart. Like
and you probably fear for his life every day.
I do. And I mean, he was assaulted at school by some kid. I mean, so there's so many things where like, this is so personal to me, like on so many levels. And it's, I mean, since I was younger, I was always the token minority, and I was always like,
oh yeah, I was international representative.
Like,
it's women in the world. Yes. At age 7, like,
yeah. And so I mean, that's important to me. It's always been important to me, and I feel like being able to elevate people who either one, they don't get an opportunity, and number two, they like no one, like they're there and they're shouting and no one's listening. It's my heart. It's like, what can I do to help? And that's what I want to do. Like and
this has been so helpful. right? Because I've
like,
seen some of these
love
and you're just, you know, the energy and the positive, like just the spirit of wanting to show other people in the industry, right?
Yeah.
Let's get to know each other. We might like each other a lot.
Exactly. And honestly, it's those are the things that I hope people, like, when they're watching our lives and they're getting to know you, like that they're really understanding who you are as a person. And I think that's what's most important, is that when you understand that people are people, you can't turn away from their pain. You can't turn away from their experience. You can't turn away from what they're trying to do. And if you can help, you can't help.
It's not hard. It's easier than
not
being rude and awful in recess. It's a little bit easier. Hey, right?
I know. Agreed. Well, they're kicking us off. We have 10 seconds.
I know. I'm a planner. I got it. I'm logistics queen. I have really enjoyed this. It's so nice to like get to know you better. And I know we're going to stay in touch and I'll support you and I know you support me. So